something for that. I have a prop.
Will be now. He's already hit a 50-yarder in this football game. This will be a 44 yard.
Yeah, this is well within his range. Snap, kick. It's
up.
up. It's low. He skipped it over.
Oh my goodness! It goes over. It clears the crossbar by maybe a foot.
It hit the.
On Livingstone if you want to, and they can really punish you for it.
Welcome to D2 HBCU Football Matters. I'm Stephen J. Gaither, and I am joined by the prophet of doom himself, Mr. Christopher Ferguson. Yes, we should all hang our heads in shame. Welcome to D2 HBCU Football Matters, man. We got a really special show for you guys today. We have a legend, and I know that gets tossed around a lot. But this man is a true legend, and he's also an up-and-coming football coach as well. So we will talk to none other than Carlos Fields, who is the defensive coordinator at Virginia State University, where they are 6-0 and looking to really wreck some shop. But before we get into that, Chris, we came on here last week, and we talked about the heartbreak. The heartbreak and the nerves we experienced the week before, and when you know it, here we are again, deja vu.
Yeah, we're back at Heartbreak Hotel, and we're checking back in because the way that Winston battled back, they were down like 17-0 and battled back, and man, you just felt like 21-17. Maybe the end is over, but things are over, and it just slipped away. And I just love the last drive because of the fact that the announcers, they were just kind of saying, well, keep getting close. He's gonna get within his range. And this guy, the kicker, Jason Zapata, kind of came out of nowhere. South Florida kid that Livingstone does really well in terms of like recruiting. And going out and recruiting. We talk a lot about the state schools in North Carolina. Stay in North Carolina, where they're one of the schools that go out. They find this kid. I mean, just been booming them the last 2 weeks, and the fact that he made them pay at the end of that game. I mean, it's great for Livingstone, because now they're on a two game win streak. But for Winston State, they got to learn how to close games, because these games are going to be close games to get through the rest of the season. So, certainly great for the Blue Bears, but man, it was rough to watch at the end.
Yeah, I was there in person, and it felt like being stabbed slowly. That's the only thing I can think of. But you look at it, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. We have two of the two hottest teams outside of Virginia State, which is obliterating everybody. We're going to talk to one of the big reasons why right now. And you talk about, Fayetteville State, who, I mean, they're winning. They're the champs.
Right.
Kyle points, not there, but, but outside of them, the two hottest schools in the CIAA might be LC and LU. So, hey, that's why they play the games. But again, we have a great show for you guys. It was a great week of HBCU football, period. We had the Miles Benedict Classic Slugfest. And, if that wasn't enough, and I know Kendrick will come on a little bit later and he's talked about how Benedict hasn't maybe had the toughest road to hoe as far as schedule-wise this year. I don't know, man. You get Miles back-to-back, and now you get Fort Valley State on a Thursday. Man, that's a tough. So a lot of great stuff going on the SIAC, the CIAA. It looks like VSU and everybody else. You still got Virginia Union lurking in the background. Fayetteville State finds a way to win, and here we are. So exciting week of HBCU football as we get into week 7, and we're about to start talking about playoffs. So a lot to work with. But before we get any deeper into those conversations, we don't want to waste any more time. We want to bring on our special guest. He is a young man he's a young man that's is already a legend in his own right on his playing days. He came out of Henderson, North Carolina to Winston-Salem State University back in 2009, I believe it was, right?
Yes,
Right
sir.
right when I was exiting out, and I think Chris maybe not too long after you exited out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys left the program. He stuck around, became an All-American at the Division II level, All CIAA player, Defensive Player of the Year, and made his way to the NFL. Stayed there for a number of years. Comes back and starts coaching, and just lighting it up as the defensive coordinator over at Virginia State University. Without any further ado, Carlos Fields, welcome to HBCU Game Day.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys for having me. But we really had to open up with Winston-Salem State losing like that.
It's one thing about WSSU, it's never boring. There is always some drama, whether there's a win or a lose, or whether you don't even actually get to play the game.
Yes, sir.
Whatever happens, it's never boring with WSSU. But we'll get to that right now. Well, we want to talk about that Virginia State defense that you guys are killing it out there. I know last year, you didn't get the job until late in the year. You were over at Alabama A&M helping out with the coaching staff that helped raise you over at WSSU. You get the job late. You guys had an up and down season, but this year, man, you guys are on fire. 11 points, I think, per game that you guys are averaging. Allowing at the CIAA 6-0. Just talk to us about this defense that you guys got and how you put it together.
But again, I appreciate you guys for having me on. But just kind of an overall of our season. Last year we didn't get hired until like June 27th, June 23rd, something like that. So we didn't have a spring. Didn't have a recruiting class. So we pretty much was inherited from the 3-6 season that they had prior to us coming here. But just overall, whenever you have a recruiting class, whenever you have a full year, whenever you have a spring that you can actually understand things, because obviously when you're new to a system and you don't know what you're doing, you don't play as fast. You're out there thinking, and you don't play as fast as you should. But being, that we've been here for a full year and we had a spring, our guys are playing fast. As far as our defense, we run a 4-2-5 defense, and everything is predicated off of eyes. I know old school offenses, is more of like spot dropping. You go to this hash and you drop and you kind of read the quarterback. But everything is off of eyes. So if your eyes, are in the right spot, they'll always take you to the ball. But right now, we're doing pretty good. Right now, I'm a humble type of guy, so I don't really like to kind of, boast about what we're doing because I'm humble, but yet, I got to have our guys still hungry. But right now, we're sitting at 6-0, and I'm looking forward to homecoming this week.
So, Coach, this is a big step up job-wise from where you were at Alabama A&M. What was it like getting the call to go work with somebody like Dr. Frazier?
Oh man, so shout out to my mentor, Perez Boer. He was my defensive coordinator for 4 years at Winston-Salem. Is the person that got me ready for, football in college. He's the person that got me ready for college coaching. He's the person that got me ready for this job that I'm currently sitting in right now. So pretty much it was, over the summer, Coach Frazier reached out to Coach Boer about to see if he could come and be a defensive coordinator, but he was actually promoted to be a defensive coordinator from being a defensive line coach at Alabama A&M. And all of a sudden he kind of threw out my name, and I'm more of, of live day by day type of guy. Like I'm pretty much I'm not really a go-getter, which I should be, and I'm kind of working towards that. But the only way to kind of get me to do things if you literally just push me to do it. So Coach Bulwer, Coach Frazier was on the phone. They was talking. Coach Bulwer kind of three-wayed me in. And pretty much the rest is history. I talked to Coach Frazier for about 15 minutes, and right after I got off the phone with Coach Frazier, I called my wife, and because at the time I have a 1-year-old, and my wife was pregnant with our now youngest daughter, and I was already in Alabama. So she was like, well, Virginia is only about a 2-hour drive, so at least you cut down 6 hours, because I was 8 hours away. But I think I've been ready for this role. Again, my mentor, my friend, he's prepared me since I was 19 years old. Kind of running the defense at Winston-Salem State. But again. Shout out to him, because he pretty much made me into the person who I am today.
Yeah, great stuff. And I can speak for sure for Carlos. When he says he's a humble person, he really is. Ever since I met him when he was a student athlete over at WSSU, just very serious. I remember I was in the press conference after one of their games in the playoffs. I think it might have been the IUP game where he had a clutch interception. And he just seemed like a real business, like he was just real business minded and straightforward, and diagnosing the reason why they were able to have the success. When we go back to that, do players know how good that you were and how good those teams were? I know you being a humble guy, you probably don't talk about it a lot, but do you guys know that you were that guy? And talk,
Well, to my linebackers, I kind of boast a little bit about myself. Like sometimes when there's a similar play from a previous game that we have now, and I've experienced that back when I played, I would kind of go back, because I have all the film. I got all the offensive film, all the defensive film. So I would go back and find a specific play. And it's crazy, man, that my memory is because I can be like, you're supposed to do this, and I'll go back to a certain game, and I'll literally find that particular play that we did the previous game, and I'll show it to him like, Carlos Fields would have made that play. But again, I'm a humble guy, man, and pretty much I don't talk about it. Actually earlier today, we practiced in the morning at 7:00. So right after I got off, right after we left practice yesterday, Steven posted, and you added me about me coming to talk or whatever, and one of my receivers was like, "Coach, you was 2-time defensive player of the year." It's like, yeah, dude, like and I don't talk about it. I don't, because I just I'm just a humble guy, and if you bring it up, I'll talk about it. But if not, then I just kind of keep all of that stuff to myself. But I talk to my friends all the time, and they tell me that I should talk about certain things, and how when I was at Winston, we did a whole bunch of different things, and all decade, two-time player of the year, All-American, 2-time, all that type of stuff. But again, I'm a humble guy, man, and like I said, I wouldn't be anything if my coaches and stuff didn't put that information into me, and for me to go out there and execute.
Yeah, you talk about that too. I mean, but now where you guys are, right? You're 6-0. You guys are just getting into the national rankings. So you've actually literally been where they've sat before now. And it looks, everybody's kind of anointing you guys as the best team in the CIAA. You beat a Division I team. I know you know what that feels like, because you got that dub over North Carolina Central and North Carolina A&T in the back-to-back year. But anyway. How do you maybe use that experience now to keep those guys grounded and let them know, hey, it's great that you're doing what you're doing, but the ceiling is so much higher, because you've played at the national championship level. You played, obviously you've gone at the NFL as an individual, but as a team, you've seen how high a CIAA team can go. And hey, you guys are the standard. 14 wins. Nobody else has ever done that. How much are you using that experience now, maybe as you guys continue to go on and say, hey, stay focused?
So it's crazy that you asked that, because this Sunday was probably the first Sunday was the first Sunday after the game that I was really really proud of my guys, of our guys, because we literally the first kickoff they took it back, and then we ended up getting 2 points on that next extra point, and then the next play from scrimmage our quarterback throws an interception. So being able to see those adversity or those adverse situations and seeing how well we responded was like phenomenal. Because literally every Sunday prior to this last game, I felt like we lost for some reason. Because and our guys, and sometimes the older guys will always be like, Coach Fields, we just beat those guys, or we just did this, or we just did that. I'm like, listen, our ceiling is so much higher. And when I say that, and I love my conference, I love the CIAA. I was bred in this conference, but some of the things that I felt like we were doing would not get us to that next level after the CIAA conference game and all that good stuff. Whenever we get to the playoffs, those small things are the ones that's going to get us to that next level after the CIAA conference game and all that good stuff. Whenever we get to the playoffs, those small things are the ones that's going to get us to. All right. Am I good? Am I clear? Steven?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I can hear my echo. But anyway, but yeah, so literally the last game was the only game that I was really, really, really excited about, because we literally took the adversity. The first half, I think we held them to about 100 yards, and even the second half, we held them even less yards. I think it was like 67 yards or something like that. But being able to to elaborate to those guys, like, listen, the CIAA is, again, I love this conference. I played in it for 4 years. But there's games after this conference that's gonna make or break us, and just being able to do those little things, within the games, that I think that we should be even more dominant. I think we are reaching in the right step.
So Coach, you have one player that really stands out in terms of the scouts. That's Willie Drew. He's selected to a Shrine Bowl watch list, and certainly has the potential to be on some other accolades as well as the season ends. Talk a little bit about him.
Willie Drew is the leader of our defense. He's a student on and off the field. He's the person that if we have to shut somebody down, we're going to put Willie Drew on. He was a transfer from JMU. And last year he had a really good season as well. I think he had like 4 or 5 interceptions last year. But this year, again, was the first year, because last year we only had one defensive back coach. And this year we have 2. So we actually have a cornerback coach and a safeties coach. So now he's getting a more one-on-one, student teacher type of preview. And he's just amazing, man. 4'4" guy. Recognize routes, because I tell anybody, it's great to be strong, it's great to be fast, it's great to be agile, but if you know what's going to happen before it happens, I promise you, you're going to be so much better. And Willie Drew is that guy that has phenomenal eyes in zone and man-to-man. He's going to pretty much, shut anybody down. But he's a player, and it's crazy because he has another year. But I'm pretty sure he's probably gonna go on to do bigger and better things, in the NFL, probably.
Yeah, you played under Coach Maynor. Obviously a lot of success there. What's it like coaching under Coach Frazier? I know he's a guy, you really didn't have a relationship going forward, when you got there. But what's it been like with Coach Frazier? What is a Coach Frazier-led team like? The atmosphere, the aura, and just what does he bring to the table that's special, unique to him?
So Coach Frazier is the ultimate players coach. Just to piggyback off of Coach Maynor. Coach Maynor was hard, like you couldn't do nothing So when I say you couldn't do nothing, like you couldn't do anything. You couldn't wear hats. You couldn't wear earrings. You couldn't wear flip flops. And like, Coach Maynard's demeanor was always, if you can do those little things, which, as a 19, 18, 20-year-old kid, you want to be cool. You want to wear your earrings. You want to wear your necklaces. You want to wear your hats, all that type of stuff. But Coach Maynard's mentality was, if you can do those little things, then you can stay on sides. You can not get pass interference. You can, open doors for like you can do those little things. Anything is possible. But Coach Frazier is the total opposite. So Coach Frazier is more of a player-friendly guy. He's more of, he'll kind of let you be an adult. Like he always preaches, hey, you guys are grown men, so I'm going to treat you like grown men. So you're going to have freedom time. You're going to have time to join organizations. You're going to have time to, go out and explore outside of football. But he's that type of person. But as a player, I would have loved to play for Coach Frazier because, like I said, he allows you to be an adult and obviously be an athlete as well. So actually, it's more so on the staff to kind of keep our guys humble, to kind of keep our guys, hey, go out and join organizations or go out to the gatherings and all that type of stuff. But obviously, we're here to win a championship along with, being able to get a degree as well. But they're literally like night and day. Coach Maynard was a more hard, tough, I was talking to one of our running back coaches today, and Coach Maynard, one time showed up I'm a big gamer. I love Madden. He came into my room about 1:00 one morning on a Wednesday night, just because we couldn't go to parties during the week. The only time we can really socialize was Saturdays after the game. So he would literally do pop-ups at our rooms and, at our off-campus apartments and stuff like that. But he literally came to my room at like 1:00 in the morning, and I was in there playing Madden. I turned around, and I'm like, man, this is Coach Maynard in my office. But Coach Frazier is more so, he's a great manager, and he allows those guys to kind of, be college students, which, you're only in college for 4 to 5 years, and that time flies just like that. So he more so allows you to kind of be a college student along with being a student athlete as well.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I just got a more interesting question after all that. Last year Virginia State, got really manhandled at their homecoming by Bowie State. Was that by design this time around to repay the favor?
You already know, man. Hey, listen. Hey, payback, baby. But I mean, again, last year, it was our first year, and I'm not making excuses because, excuses are tools, and I don't really want to, go into that. But again, they were the better team last year, and this year, we got that get back on. So, but again, big shout out to Bowie State and their program. I know coach is gonna kind of turn that thing around and get back on that track. But yeah, right now we're just we have one goal a week. It's just to go 1-0 every week, and stay humble but yet hungry and just just to keep winning.
Yeah, you guys have homecoming coming up this week over at VSU. You've got the folks over from Bluefield State. I know you guys had a chance to see them last year. Now they're members of the conference. They've been kind of up and down offensively. They went to Livingstone and had a light show on the blue turf, and then they came to Bowman Gray and didn't score. And then last week they got into a shootout with Lincoln. Talk about what you're seeing from them, and just another team that's seems like another gritty team that fits right in with what is going on in the CIAA North right about now.
Right. So I think the biggest thing with them from the beginning of the season till now, they had a quarterback change. When the first 2 or 3 games, they had a quarterback number 6. He was more of a runner type of guy. He did a lot of power read, did a lot of read option, kind of scrambled around and made, heroic plays. But now they have a more set quarterback. He's a left-handed kid. Last game, I think he threw for 442, 5 touchdowns. So they're gonna air it out. They're not a running team at all. They're 2x2, 3x1 type team. And for the last couple of games, I think the game before that they played against Fayetteville State, and I think they put up about 18 points. But out of the last two games, they've put up about 28 to 30 points. So it's going to be a air raid type of game. Now I think it's supposed to be 50%, 60% rain, so that may kind of play into a factor as far as being able to run the ball a little bit more. But again, the quarterback, he's more of a passer, and we've been kind of dialing it up all week. So can't wait to see those guys on Saturday.
And again, we're talking with Carlos Fields, defensive coordinator at Virginia State University. Look, man, I'm just gonna come out and ask you, man. So a couple things. So one, we are, there's been a lot of talk about you guys, when you played. I've heard people calling you guys ringers, saying you were all Division I players and everything like that. Kind of discounting some of the stuff that you guys did, man. Talk to me when you hear that. I mean, obviously, you got your 2 championship rings. 10 years ago, we thought you might be heading towards 3. I'm sure you probably heard about that a time or two since you've been up there at state, as they call it. But I know you're humble, but just let them know what you guys had going on there, man.
Gotcha. So, man, just to kind of piggyback off of 2009, I was a freshman coming into Winston-Salem State, and that year was our last transitional year to the MEAC, but the next year we went down to Division II. And that's when Coach Maynard, Coach Bulwer, Coach Hayes, Coach Eder, all of those guys came in and literally ran off half of the team, literally. And then some people, they'll always say, well, you guys had a Division I team, but literally from 2010 to 2012, that was 2 years of recruiting. So Cam Smith, who's a Hall of Famer, just went into the Hall of Fame. Shout out to my quarterback, Cam Smith. Jamez Massey, who was that guy, 5'8", 145 pounds, soaking wet, put us on our back, took us to the national championship. Donnie Owens, who was a transfer, who was not on that team in 2010. Barry Tripp, shout out to Barry Tripp. He's the defensive coordinator at John C. Smith right now. He was my defensive lineman that was in front of me. Everybody, literally, we had a couple of guys. Now I'm not gonna, I'm gonna keep it real. We had a couple of guys off of that, 2009, 2010 that kind of, was their last year in 2012. But the majority of the guys that whenever we went to the national championship, and even the year before in 2011, when we went to the semis, most of those guys were transfer guys. Again, Cam Smith, Jamez Massey, Jawan Butler, Jamal Williams, Maurice Lewis was a running back who was a Division II recruit. Larry Hearn, who was a Division II recruit. Listen, we had Daniel Mungin, who was the wheel beside me. He was a JUCO transfer. Most of our guys were Division II / transfer, JUCO transfers, or maybe drop down guys. But that was a great testament to recruiting. Like Coach Bulwer is probably the mastermind of recruiting 2-year non guys. 2-year nons are pretty much when guys go to school and then they have to sit out for 2 years. So they're older, they're mature type of guys. Because even the transfers that we had that year from 2011 to 2012, most of those guys sat on the bench, literally. And I'm not playing at all. Like, we had some guys from ECU. We had a guy from Alabama. We had a guy from UNC, Danny Bunn, who was the safeties coach at Fayetteville State. He was the backup. But I'm telling you, like, most of our guys were recruited guys. Now, I'm not gonna lie, 2010, 2009 was the last year that we had Division I recruits, like myself, Malcolm Rowe, Ricky Rozier, Marcus Lawrence, who was an offensive lineman. He was a center. He's actually offensive line coach at Alabama A&M. But most of those guys were recruited guys after, you know, we made that transition. So, you know, and I kind of talk to you know, our offensive coordinator and our head coach about, he'll be like, well, you know, you guys transition from Division I to Division II, so you should have done that. But our first year when we transitioned, we beat North Carolina Central, we beat North Carolina A&T, but then we lost to Shaw and we lost to St. Aug. So what does that tell you? Just because we, you know, transition, you know, we still lost to 2 Division II teams. So, but all in all, man, I had a really good experience there, man. I loved it. Again, I still watch all Winston-Salem State games. I carry a wristband every day. Most of my guys tell me to take it off, but I'm not taking it off because that's the, you know, the school that bred me into the person that I am. Gave me a math degree. You know, I started, you know, teaching in middle school and in high school, and ultimately, you know, kind of led myself here. But I love Winston-Salem State, you know, till I leave this earth. But we were those guys, man. Like we were good. We were great.
No doubt. Well, look, you guys right there, VSU, you're right on track. You know, long season. CIAA North is a gauntlet, as we always say. But you know, hey, you're halfway to you know, potentially the CIAA championship game and Division II playoffs and beyond. So you know, on behalf of Chris and myself and the show, we want to just make sure that we you know, again, thank you and honor your time. Appreciate it, everything that you're doing going up there at VSU, man. You guys are killing it. Making it really scary for teams out there. So continue to keep those guys, you know, excited about what they got going on, and keep that perspective again that it is, you know, winning the CIAA is great, but you know, there's a lot more beyond that as well. So I appreciate you for hopping on, Carlos, and you're welcome back anytime, man.
All right, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother. All right. That is Carlos Fields. He is the defensive coordinator at Virginia State University. They have their homecoming game against Bluefield State University. I'm sorry, everybody picks Lincoln for homecoming. Even Bluefield State did this year. So,
whoops,
I kind of slipped. But anyway, and so with that being said, we're gonna bring on our guy Kendrick, and just right in time. We are going to talk about, just go do a little bit of look back before we look forward, and we're going to talk about Miles versus Benedict College. Kendrick, I believe you were there. Just talk to me about what took place there and what you saw out of that contest.
Yeah, so the Miles versus Benedict game was as advertised. It was a championship type atmosphere, championship type of matchup. I was really curious to see how Miles' offensive line could stack up against what's more than likely one of the best defensive lines in Division II football. And for the most part, Miles did a pretty decent job. I think for me, Benedict just has this energy around them that's like, hey, we've been here and we are not going anywhere. And you see Miles, you know, come back out that second half. They make a quarterback change. They come out with Cameron Ivory. He gave them the spark, you know, a little bit more mobile than Klein Peter was, and really got them to moving the ball down the field. They take the lead on Benedict with about 2 minutes left in the game. And I'm saying, hey, they got the champs on the rope. But like good championship teams do, Benedict came back and they got hit in the mouth, but they came right back and they drove the ball down the field and scored with probably about 45 seconds left on the clock. And that's what let me know that Benedict is definitely there for the championship, you know, a championship caliber team. A team that can come out, get hit in the mouth, and come right back down the field, score, and take the lead back. For Miles, I think it was like they have to learn how to be like they're good, but now you got to learn how to be great, elite. So they have if they finish the season out, you know, I think my prediction is we're going to get a game 2 rematch of them. And hopefully Miles is able to fix certain things. Like they got a couple of bad penalties on that last drive that was just undisciplined. but those things they have to shore up if they want to be a championship team and to beat a championship team.
Yeah, slugfest in Fairfield. So obviously, and now Benedict. We'll talk about that a little later. They got to go ahead and turn around and face a really tough Fort Valley State team. Before we get into it, Chris and I were talking, so we were reacting to Winston-Salem State's loss to Livingstone, the second in a row at Tuskegee. Who's probably the longest winning streak that you guys have? I'm just curious. Currently.
See, I think they've all been recently broken because the longest one had to be Lane.
Okay, well, which one hurt the most? Which one hurt the most to lose? It was like, really? Let's ask that.
I guess Lane was the one that was really more hurtful. But
I lost to LC, huh?
Yeah. Something about those LCs.
Well, yeah, no, I think Chris told us last week. We gotta get it for. We gotta play it for him.
You go on Livingstone if you want to, and they can really punish you for it. You sleep on Livingstone if you want to, and they can really punish you for it.
And that they did. So I've named him the Prophet of Doom, just so you know, for that. But beyond that, Chris, the prophet of Doom. Yes, Chris, the Prophet of Doom. A great week last week. The Miles Benedict game, obviously the icing on the cake over there in the SIAC. But also talk to us about the Morehouse Tuskegee Classic. I know there was something that you wanted to talk about, because I know we're talking about rivalries, and I think Morehouse has had some wins against you guys recently. But just talk to us about that. What your impressions were of that, from that, coming off of that.
Yeah, so there was just a lot of. Let me see if I can change my background right quick. There was a lot of questions about coming into that Tuskegee Morehouse game. One of the biggest questions for me was just, this was the third year and a 3-year contract, and I'm so glad the contract is over, and I'll be so happy when this game moves. This game needs to be out of Birmingham. I don't care where it goes, but anywhere but Birmingham has to be my stance right now. But as far as like the ball game goes, it's just whether or not Tuskegee is going to get back healthy, whether or not they're going to get back to that Tuskegee that we saw against Fort Valley. And that has been the question week after week after week. However, with that being said, it's still a rivalry game. The intensity around it has, dropped over the years, but you still got to know that Morehouse wants to beat Tuskegee and Tuskegee wants to beat Morehouse. So I think we took some of Morehouse best shots. It's the 6th game of the season. There's a lot of film out on you, and I think Morehouse came out with a really good game plan and exploited some ways that I feel like we're going to be exploited the rest of the season, because it's just out there. It's very clear what you can do to our defense right now, and it's very clear what our offense is bad at. And I think Morehouse did a wonderful job, game plan with the freshman talent that they have, but just that experience just didn't, it didn't go out well for them. They made their quarterback threw some interceptions in the second half that really boasted us. We went with a sophomore quarterback that we've seen for the second time this year in Christopher Roberson. He came out, gave us a spark. But still just give it up to Morehouse. Their defensive line we only threw the ball 12 times Saturday, because we just could not handle what they were bringing, the blitzes they were bringing. And on the offensive side, Christopher Daniels for Morehouse was their workhorse. And he ran all over us. I think they got 250, 260 yards on the ground against us. So it was a good game. I wish more people would have been came out to see it, and especially on Morehouse side. And I think that's one of the big questions, like, what can we do to revitalize this rivalry as far as like attendance from a Morehouse perspective? Because even before it left Columbus, the Morehouse fans had stopped traveling. And I understand Tuskegee has been so dominant in this game, but I feel like Morehouse, with what they have now, I feel like that they should really get behind their program. I, for one, I'm for taking it back home and home. I'm not sure when the last time Morehouse ever came to the Shed, but I feel like going home and home could actually be the boost that could help save this rivalry in a sense.
Great insight there on the Morehouse-Tuskegee rivalry. Morehouse survives. They come back from what happened down in Huntsville, and they live to fight another day. They are still unbeaten in the SIC, as are, I think, 4 other teams at this point. So long way to go as we fight this out here. Over in the CIAA, Chris, it was the return, not the return of the MAC, but the return of Jada. Jadakiss Byers, Jadakiss Byers. I was thinking between Jadakiss Barnes and Jada Byers, but Jada Byers. What? It was. I'm sorry. So Jada Byers comes out and runs for 200 plus yards on Elizabeth City State. Picks up where he left off. Continues to be that guy. Just talk about his performance, Prophet of Doom, and let us know what you thought about him coming back and what that says about VUU as they get into the second half of the season.
Yeah, VUUs are RBU. I mean, they just have one running back after another that can step into that role and rush for 100 yards easy. And but the Jada Byers, we kind of started the season hoping that he would have a repeat performance of last year and kind of be at the stage for Harlan Hill, the most outstanding player in Division II. Not quite on that pace this year, having set out a couple games, but it doesn't mean anything if he hits that field because he still got it. I mean, he rushed for well over 200 yards, like 240 yards or something like that, and I mean just incredible performance against Elizabeth City. So it's one of those things that he just really picked up where he left off, and it just shows the depth that VUU has at that position.
Yeah, you talk about the depth that VUU has at the running back position, and we talked with Carlos Fields a little bit earlier offline, and he was talking about how Coach Dr. Parker was the coach at Elizabeth City, was assistant coach at Elizabeth City, and they ran a lot of the same things, and it's very running back friendly. So with that said, I mean, obviously we know Jada Byers is amazing, but you talk about CIAA running backs, he's got 2 teammates. He's got 2 teammates that are really outstanding backs as well. So talk about them. And then we also got another guy entered the chat last week. His name is Kimo Clark. So we'll talk about him too. But just kind of give me your assessment of these backs that we've got in the CIAA. Pretty good stable there. And let me know if I'm missing somebody else. But
yeah, I mean that's the thing. So the CIAA, likes to do a lot of rushing. And VUU having Curtis Allen and Rashard Jackson, who have both rushed for over 150 yards in one game alone when Jada was out, just shows that, how interesting things can really be for the CIAA at the running back spot. And, Kimo Clark at Virginia State, he rushed for about 240 yards as well this past weekend.
All the yards.
It was, I mean, he was just a home run hitter. I mean, you kind of see here the way he just kind of pulled away, hit the hole really quickly, and it was over. I mean, and so here breaking tackles, the way he just carries players. I mean, not the biggest guy, but really, really strong. And it's easy to forget that Kimo Clark is actually like the number 2 back for Virginia State. Elton Bailey was the starting running back and got hurt, and he's out for the season. But again, the teams that are at the top of the CIAA, they tend to have pretty good depth, and you kind of see that here with Virginia State as well. Certainly, there's other great backs. The tandem of Johnson C. Smith is definitely one to kind of point out. The Newman brothers, Jacob and Tim, they're kind of a 1-2 punch in that backfield. And Sidney Gibbs, certainly hasn't had the season that Shaw had hoped for. With the struggles that they've had on the offensive line, but nonetheless, that's another really great running back to kind of point out for the things he's been able to do over his career.
Yeah. And then we transition over to the SIAC. Kendrick, who are some of your guys that you've seen this year that's been standing out for you? I know we talk a lot about the quarterbacks there, talked about the running backs in the CIAA, but who's maybe a guy you would like to spotlight, either coming off of last week or just for their cumulative performance?
The SIC is in a kind of interesting place. There's a lot of transitioning from the offensive standpoint. So normally we were a really heavy run heavy conference, and you see like we probably won't even get a running back that'll even touch 1,000 yards or near 1,000 yards this season because all the teams are like airing the ball out this year. But a couple running backs that stand out to me is Kyle and Do at Lane. What he's been able to do. I know that Lane, they only have one win, but he's kept them competitive in a lot of games. I think the other running back, golly, his name is escaping me, from Edward Waters, and I'll see him Saturday, so he'll probably make me pay for not remembering his name. But they got a pretty good running back at Edward Waters, and so it's like the offenses look totally different. If you compare this offensively last year to this year, most of the offenses just look totally different. So we're learning more about what we have, so that's why I've been highlighting a lot of the quarterbacks. But one in particular, the wide receiver that caught my attention on Saturday was Nicholas Sowell from Benedict, number 17. Like, that guy is a monster. And I just, if he's on, if you don't know where he is on the field, he will make you pay. Just ask Miles on Benedict's championship drive. I call that their last drive to score, to take the lead, was a championship drive. Number 17 is huge. He had 9 receptions for 174 yards Saturday. Guys really doing it. On the defensive side of the ball, I talk about Mikael King. He's a hometown kid from my hometown, played at my high school, Booker T. Washington. He has 5 interceptions on the year, and just a sophomore. So, hey, he has still a lot of growing to do. So he's going to be a monster by the time you get to that senior year.
Yeah, so we got in the chat, Joshua C. Jackson says that Deshaun Hughey, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is
that's him.
You know that on you, Kendrick, over there, Edward Waters. I think you got the president calling for your neck after they win a game. So
that's all right. We're gonna show them some good hospitality and give them a really good ale on Saturday. So that's just how it's gonna be right now. I normally would speak nice to them, but we enemies this week, so it is what it is.
And the prophet of doom lasts.
Yeah, because I saw that. I was like, man, they on his neck.
Listen, they I don't even know which show I even said it. Did I say that on this show? Whichever show, like they quoted, they was like, oh yeah, I don't know about Edward Waters, Lane.
Do we need a Chris? I think we need a sleep on Edward Waters. Let's give him the solo box, Kobe. Let's give the disclaimer about sleeping on. Let Chris give the solo disclaimer about sleeping on Edward Waters.
Yeah, sleep on Edward Waters if you want to. They're gonna make you pay. Telling you.
You know what?
They climbing out of the hole. They climbing out of the hole right now. You're 3-3. They coming for you.
I'm gonna tell you something that I'm always giving old sayings. I'm gonna give an old saying on HBCU game day tonight. My granddad used to tell me that a horse run fast can't run long. So they've been running fast these last 3 games, but it's over with now. Okay, it is over. I can't get the last part of that saying. I can't give it, but because that just might be too. But whatever. If y'all know the saying, you from the country, you know that saying, and I'm just here to tell you, like, all that runs out Saturday. It is what it is. I know. Listen, they get on me because I don't put Jaron Russell. I don't mention him. I'm talking about who is the best quarterback in the conference. Tell you what, he can make me know it Saturday, but it ain't happening. It ain't happening. And I think he's a great quarterback. Top 5 in the conference. Shoot, top 5 in the conference. But hey, it is what it is.
Well, that's that. And with that, we start to look ahead to this week. So let's start off with the games and the storyline. So we will go back to the Prophet of Doom's team where he gave the disclaimer last week, Livingstone College. It has the Blue Bears found a way to clip the tails of the Bulldogs at Bowie State. They found a way to I don't know, wool the Rams at Winston-Salem State, and now what you say?
Shave the sheep.
Yeah. And now they go down into Cumberland County. They're going to a Fayetteville State team. They're defending champs. They're on a 4-game winning streak, But they only scored how many points against who last week? Chris, talk to me. Talk to me. Tell me I didn't see that.
7 points. What a snooze fest. I mean, I get it. St. Aug is playing inspired at homecoming, but man, it was brutal. I barely watched the game because I was trying to keep up with what's going on. But I mean, it was just really, really tough to watch overall. So it wasn't from a lack of pure offense. I mean, Fayetteville State had 248 yards of offense. St. Aug had 189. So not completely terrible. But yeah, they just couldn't happen. I mean, St. Aug got to the red zone, couldn't score. It was just a tough game to watch.
All right. And then we'll go over to the SIAC. So we'll talk about Allen and Albany State. Albany State is another team, Kendrick. They started off 0-2, tough schedule, but here they are. They got 4 wins in a row. They're taking on the Allen team that we still don't know because last week they were kind of in a shootout of sorts with Clark Atlanta. I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to throw one more name out at running back, Daquan Kinsey at Clark, and I definitely want to get him some little still playing hard, even though the season is not going the way that it's going. That they would like it to go. So I do want to get him that. And yes, I see the SID for Edward Waters is here, number 2 quarterback in SIAC, also tied for number 1 in passing TDs. Absolutely. I think Edward Waters is on an excellent run, but that run ends Saturday. But back to the matchup of Albany State and Allen. Let me apologize to Albany State first. I will say from the very beginning, the transition they were going to make, I counted the Rams out. You know what? Somebody told me I was going to have to get up and do the Ram book. If Albany State beats Allen Saturday, the next episode, I'm going to get up on this show and do the Ram book for the Rams because I just have to apologize. I wrote them off. I thought that they weren't going to even really be competitive. I thought they was in trying to get to 500 would be the best they had. But after seeing what they did to Central State, I mean, demolishing Central State. And I've seen that Central State team twice. And they have a lot of talent on that team. For them to do that lets me know, hey, I think Quentin Gray over at Albany State has figured some things out. And I think that they're a team to watch out for. This game right here between Allen and Albany State, I think for Allen, this could be a program-defining win, to knock off one of the blue bloods in the conference. And also for Albany State, is for them, it's a win to establish that, hey, yeah, we got a new coach, but we ain't going nowhere. We right in the mix. Yeah, y'all talk about Benedict, Miles, and Tuskegee and Fort Valley, but hey, we're Albany State. So I think they have a real good opportunity to show us, hey, are they in that conversation of those ones who are going to challenge Benedict for the crown? One of the things is, can they keep David Wright upright? We saw what Fort Valley defensive line was able to do against Allen. I think they're up against a similar type of defensive line. I don't think Albany State's defensive line is as good as Fort Valley's, but I think as far as size-wise, I think they're pretty comparable. So it will just depend. If they can keep David Wright upright, I think Allen can have a chance to, really get in this game and win. But if they don't, it might be a long day like it was for Central State for Allen.
Yeah, good stuff there for sure. And Chris, I didn't get a chance to. So, do you have a prognostication? Do the Blue Bears stay hot, or does the Cinderella's blue slipper finally fall off?
You know what? It's very tempting to take Livingstone in this game, but the last time I voted or chose against Richard Hayes, I paid for it dearly. So I don't see. I'm not going to take that one. I'm not going to take the bait on that one. I'm going to go with Fayetteville State. But man, that Livingstone is very tempting to take. I'm not even going to lie.
They played very blue ballsy. I'll say that against WSSU. Some of the play calling, I mean, it was just downright. It was downright. We don't think you can do this. We don't think you can handle this. We don't think you're prepared for it. We don't think you're tough enough. Give me the one box. Give me the one box code. I mean, they just look. If Livingstone plays the way that they played against Winston-Salem State, I don't know. I mean, they smacked them in the mouth from start to finish. Dared WSSU to respond, and WSSU did respond, but they coached a really good game. And I don't know. Now, of course, it was a road game for Fayetteville State last week. And I expect them to be better at home, but we've seen that offense struggle. I don't know, man. I mean, the fake punts, the fake punt on their own 11-yard line, Chris. Bring Chris back. They just played like they were playing with house money. So it was a very blue ballsy game. And you can bring Chris back up. It was that they played over at in Winston-Salem, and they just let it all hang out. And if they do that at Fayetteville State, a trick play here, a trick play there.
Hey man, look, the fact that they're 4th and 1 inside their own 20 and they run a fake punt.
Disrespect.
The second time they ran a fake punt in the game. I don't even what do you really even say to that? I don't even want to hear it.
They were at the 11. They were at their own 11-yard line.
I don't care about the officiating and whether they messed up or not, because Winston State had opportunity to stop them later in the drive. Let that happen on your own field. The disrespect. Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah. That told me everything I need to know right there. I wish I had the confidence. I wish I had the confidence in Kendrick. I just don't. I mean, we are on the other side of the spectrum right now. Y'all are 5-1, and we are just what? I feel like we're 1-5.
I meant at this point, when I look at the CIAA, and I hate that I'm not trying to just throw a little salt on the CIAA right now, but at this point, would the Beach Bowl be better served to put 2 SIAC teams in than to try to bring one of y'all teams over that don't make the playoff?
Okay, and then Fayetteville State will get in it, and then what? And then they'll win the game. And then,
who they gonna beat?
I mean, they got to go to the South. I mean,
okay, so let's put it out there. They played Benedict. I mean, Benedict is Benedict. Okay, we assume that Benedict is champ,
no, I think if Miles makes it to the championship game, I think Miles win the championship game if they see him again.
I think Fayetteville State and Benedict would be a good one.
You said Fayetteville State and Benedict?
Yeah.
The only team that will come close to beating Benedict in the CIAA, come close, can't beat them, but come close is Virginia State.
Well, I think Benedict. Well, right now, the way that it stands, and I know that Inkblot Sports, I think it is, they're D2 Inkblot Sports, and we needed to talk about this anyway, so this is a good segue. They had their predictions of the regions right now, and the way it stands, they got to think Virginia State 2, Benedict 3, and then they had Fort Valley in the 7th seed. So you got 3 HBCUs in the field of 8, which would leave a Miles Virginia Union matchup there. Maybe a Miles Fayetteville State. I think a Miles Virginia. I think Virginia Union matches up against any of those teams. I do. I do. And especially
they struggle with Morehouse the first half.
If they don't have to deal with Benedict, because I feel like you guys, like you said, you guys are now passing league, and they got a punishing style. So I don't know. We'll see.
You know what? I saw that. I mean, it's just really early. I think after Thursday night, Fort Valley, the conversation, about them being in the playoffs probably goes away because I mean, not only do they take a L Thursday night, then they have VUL on their schedule. Miles is being punished right now because they have those 2 FCS opponents on there. So you'll see that kind of play out if they make it to the championship game. But they just can't fall anymore because they fall again, they won't be there. So it's like I saw that, but this Thursday night is a must win for Fort Valley if they want to keep any hopes for a SIC championship and any hopes for a playoff. They have no other. There's no other way for them. And then other than that, I guess they'll be praying that Tuskegee can't go to the Beach Bowl because I don't think he choose Tuskegee or Fort Valley over Tuskegee in the Beach Bowl. But
yeah, well, can't spell Valley without 2 L's.
So we're gonna come back to that Benedict because we're gonna finish with Benedict at Fort Valley State, and that'll be our closer. So we're gonna come back to VUU and Bowie State. Talk to me about this matchup, Chris. Talk to me about what you're feeling. Bowie State they've lost 2 in a row. And I think they lost 2 in a row maybe last time, once in the CIAA, once in the they haven't lost a lot of CIAA games in the last half decade or plus. Do they stop the bleeding against Virginia Union at Hovey Field, or does Play 411 come through and keep that momentum going and get us towards that dream matchup in Week 10?
Yeah, Bowie State's got a lot that they're trying to sort through on offense in particular. They just are so committed to the run, and it's just not there for them. I mean, you rush 33 times in the game and only mustered 53 yards. I mean, that is tough to watch. I mean, it is painful. So, in this particular game, it could come down to turnovers for Bowie State to try to spring an upset here. But Virginia Union seems to kind of be steady if the weather's fine. Shout out to Fayetteville State there. The Virginia Union is probably going to run away with this game. I think the problem with Bowie State is that it's just so inconsistent on offense right now. And you kind of saw they jumped out to a quick lead of Virginia State. That was, special teams that made that happen. And there was a defense that kind of helped out as well. But man, on offense, it's a tough watch right now.
Sunny days, everybody loves them. Can we stand the rain? Can I get a Nate Who? Come on, we got to work on this synergy here. But anyway, so there we go. And we will finish off this week with the matchup that is the closest to us. It will be Fort Valley State. Sean Gibbs taking his they're Wildcats. I knew it was everybody's a cat, and everybody's a cat in the SIC. Taking his Wildcats up to Columbia, South Carolina, to the capital city to take on Chennisberry and his Tigers. What do you think? What's your? Well, I think you kind of already tipped your hat to you're cats. I mean, what Thundercats? I mean, if I said Thundercats, that'd be a little different, right, Randall? But no, seriously, you've already kind of tipped your hat to us, but why do you feel like Benedict will assert itself in this game? and we'll one box you.
Okay. So let me say this first and foremost. If I had my way, Fort Valley would beat Benedict. And the reason why I would say that because I'm for chaos. I like chaos. I don't like when it just runs away. Like I think of Fort Valley beating Benedict sets us up for like a 4-way tie in the SIAC. And I just like the chaos. I like the way games play out in the middle of chaos. And then it would just in case Tuskegee happens to stumble, then we have a case. But if Benedict beats Fort Valley, then definitely we can't have any stumbles to fight because there'd be too many teams fighting for just that one slot. I think Fort Valley has the best quarterback in the conference. I will say that I think Kevin Durham has proven himself. However, Saturday, the best quarterback in the conference will be running for his life. He was running for his life when they played Allen, even though they were able to pull the win out. But this is not an Allen defense. This is Chennis Berry's defense. And that Benedict defense is as average. They're big. They're strong. Out of their ends are just unblockable. And I just think it's gonna be a long day for my guy Kelvin Durham. And I mean the offense for Benedict, who's stopping it? Nobody's stopping that. Nobody in the conference is stopping that. Fort Valley has a really good defensive line, but it's the same defensive line and I mean they hit Bryson Williams for Tuskegee 5 times. But I will say our offensive line ranks towards the bottom of the conference in sacks allowed. So we were able to neutralize your defensive line and still win the game. You best believe that offensive line for Benedict is going to neutralize that defensive line and win that game. Now, everybody thinks it's going to be a close game, but I'm here to tell you, I'm looking 40-10. I think the line is like 34-16. I don't know where Fort Valley gets 16 points from. Maybe they get spotted 6 points. I don't know, but scoring 10 is going to be a win for Fort Valley on that Benedict defense. So I'm riding with Benedict to win this one big.
I mean, I had a question here though, because the one thing that really helped Miles was turnovers. You know, they turn over the ball a lot, but so did Benedict. So does Benedict have a problem with holding on to the ball, and could that benefit Valley in this game?
I mean, that was Dennis's first interception that he threw against Miles. But you got to also think that Miles secondary, they're really lengthy. You know, when you look at them out on the field, and see there was some. See, I guess for some people, when they look at that Miles team, they're looking at that Miles team in comparison to their team. But that Miles team could beat their team in the conference too. It's like that's what the thing. Like it wasn't that Benedict played bad. They were just going up against a team that's equally as good. I mean, once again, this was a 1-9 Miles team last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about they were an offense away. They have found the offense. What really kept Miles in that game was that Miles was able to find a little bit of room to run the ball, get 2 or 3 yards here on first down to make those third and manageable. But everybody's offensive line is not Miles' offensive line. And I don't know another offensive line in the conference that can even say that they're in where Miles' offensive line is. You know, I don't think Fort Valley's offensive line is anywhere as near as good as Miles' offensive line. So I don't see them being able to run the ball enough to keep that game manageable to even stand a chance.
So what you're saying is they're not going to be in Blythewood this time. They're going to be in Columbia. So it's going to be a little different, huh?
Absolutely. And I mean, and then you got them mad. You got them mad because they were happy they won that game, but they did not like how they won that game. And so they going to come out. I mean, we've all heard Chennis Berry talk. Y'all know how that man talk. You know, hey guys, he tell them we got 60 minutes. We know you got what you gonna do. We're gonna go 1-0, man. 1-0. Man, finish the mission. Them boys gonna finish the mission in the first quarter. Thursday night.
Well. Can we get a cup of ether, please? Ether, please.
Wait, hold on. I just want to say, Central State, I'm disappointed in y'all.
Why are you disappointed in Central State? And then Chris, I'll need your disappointment.
Central State, I mean, they got two of the best linebackers in the country, in Dominic Davis and Jaleel Lenoir. They have three quarterbacks that can spin it. They got Brandon Cowles, they got Booney, and they have the Alex Lewis, the transfer, they can spin it. They got Michael Lower at wide receiver. Like, they have all this talent, and then you just mess around. You find ways to lose ball games. You were able to beat Mississippi Valley, the FCS, the SWAC Mississippi Valley, which is your only win, which should tell you something about. Never mind, I won't get into that. But you get a SWAC win, and then you just can't find ways to win games. And it's like, you guys are the 1983 national runner up to the Division II national championship. How have you all fallen this low? I mean, what y'all won, like 8 games in the last 10 years? This is horrible. Y'all got to get it together. You have to get it together. I think that they're too good of a team to be sitting at 1-9.
And when you mentioned finding ways to lose, I think there's a lot of ways we can go with that, Chris.
Maybe the Beach Bowl should rethink and put Winston-Salem and Central State in there and just call it the find a way to lose game and see who comes out.
Oh, you give me flashbacks of last year, man. Golly.
Hey, and look, both of us played an FCS team this year, and Winston-Salem State played a better one. We scored some touchdowns. Anyway, I don't care what anyway. Any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up? Another great week of D2 HBCU football matters.
I got a disappointment though. I think that
all right, one box, Chris, please.
Yeah, so we can't lead this segment without talking about what happened in Durham, because here we got John C. Smith, trying to keep pace. They were at the top of the division, and they seem to be relishing this role that they're the homecoming opponent, and all of a sudden they acted like a homecoming opponent. They went up 10-7, and then I got outscored the rest of the game to lose to Shaw. So I just feel like we're kind of reverting back to form a little bit here. And is this the start of a decline, or is this a blip in the radar? I don't know, but John C. Smith need to get their act together, because Fayetteville State, them winning the division again. Come on, somebody got to win this other division other than Fayetteville State, the Fayetteville State division. Somebody else got to win this division. So is it Livingstone? Is it John C. Smith? Somebody. We already know who I think it ain't gonna be. It ain't gonna be St. Hope. It ain't gonna be the other team that I ain't gonna call a name out no more. It ain't gonna be them. Somebody got to win this division outside of Fayetteville State.
And you see, one box. This is why I was on the disband CIAA South train earlier this year. This is exactly why we are putting our hope in Johnson C. Listen, Chris, listen to what you just said. We are putting our hope in Johnson C. Smith and Livingstone College, the two teams that have been playing HBCU football the longest, and they got 3 championships between the two of them. This is where it's come to in the CIAA South. But hey, both of them got a chance. Both of them still got a chance. Both of them still got to see Fayetteville. We thought Livingstone might be the spoiler. I think they are. Maybe it's Shaw. I think we talked about this. Livingstone and Shaw are going to be the two teams that kind of probably decide who are the spoiler and who represents the CIAA South. But we're living in unparalleled times at this point. So who knows what will happen? The prophet of doom worked last week. Will it work this week? Stay tuned for next week's edition of D2 HBCU Football Matters. We are in crisis mode. We are in crisis mode. These guys are. Look what you've done to Chris. Look what you have done to Chris.
3 SIAC teams in the playoffs. Y'all keep beating each other up.
Well, you got 15 teams in the conference. I mean, how many winless teams do you have in the conference?
Hey, I just want chaos over there.
I'm also Team Chaos.
Yeah. Come
chaos,
on, Livingstone. I'm rooting for Livingstone.
Chaos is all we know. You, Walter Hartley, Chanel Quick, y'all are on the Livingstone train. Hell, this week, I might. After that Blue Balls performance, I'm on it too.
We ain't never seen these Livingstone fans out here. They see the confidence they have right now. I didn't even know y'all had fans.
Look, man, we're gonna cut it there before we'll have all kinds of smoke from this show. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Great show. Make sure you guys go out and support HBCU football. Remember that D2 HBCU football matters. And we'll see you next time.